dọ́kúmẹ̀ntì tí àwọn Britain tí wọ́n fi róòlù wa eléyìí náà wà lọ́wọ́ mi ó pọ̀ jàǹtìrẹrẹ á ti wá ṣe bó la fẹ́ ṣe Yorùbá sì ní a kì í júbà fún oògùn sínú rọ̀rùn ẹ ń bá mú oògùn tó kọ̀ọ̀yàn láàmú pé ọpẹ́lọpẹ́ lágbájá ǹbá tí mú oògùn ibà yìí ǹbá tí mo tinú rírun yìí ǹbá tí mú oògùn ejò yìí ǹbá tí mo fọ àwúre yìí ǹbá tí mú oògùn ìsọ̀yè yìí àyè júbà fún oògùn sínú rọ̀rùn èmi náà sì ní kónkóló ṣùgbọ́n làálàá kòókòó jànjàn pàápàá àtijọ́ àti mọ́ ọ̀tọ̀ọ̀tọ̀ ọ̀rọ̀ kò já lè bẹ́ẹ̀sì ilé ayé wa lórí ìtàn torí pé àwọn èèyàn kì í sábà mọ válù ìtàn púpọ̀ lóòótọ́ ọ̀rẹ́ mi Ìbàdàn jíńjà mi díẹ̀ pẹ̀lú bóyá sọ pé òun bá tàn Ọ̀yọ́ Empire dé 20 episode wọ́n dẹ̀ wá ń ṣe ìkówójọ fún another 15 episode wọ́n fẹ́ gbé láti 21 episode sí 35 episode ó túmọ̀ sí pé kò ní sinmi ń bẹ̀ ṣùgbọ́n solicit fún ìrànwọ́ lọ́dọ̀ àwọn èèyàn tí wọ́n ní interest nínú nǹkan tó náà ń ṣe mo wá wò pé ó yẹ káwọn kan náà ní interest nínú tèmi náà ń ṣe òye dẹ̀ ti yí everybody gbangba God bless you sir, God bless you ma òye dẹ̀ ti yí everybody gbangba pé ẹnìkan kò sponsor Awikonko báwọn èèyàn bá wá akíkanjú kan ò lè dógun sẹ́ bí ọba sálátìlẹ́yìn fún ijó àjùmọ̀jó ní gbayì kíkọ́ ni ijó ànìkànjó kọ́ ni lẹ́sẹ̀ báwọn bá wá ráwọn èèyàn tó lè kún Awikonko náà lọ́wọ́ mi rò pé kò sí tó bàdí ń bẹ̀ Mr. Túndé Òkólè mi ní wáyé tí ń gbà kọ̀ọ̀kan bàbá wo lóyè Aliu ẹ̀ ní dẹni àná lágbára Ọlọ́run so báwa náà bá rí èèyàn kún a lọ́wọ́ lórí ilé ìtayàn láàyò yìí á bèsè lórí ìtàn do you know pé kò sẹ́ni tó lè sọ ìtàn lẹ káàárọ̀ òjìrè tán láàrin wa no matter how good you are kò sẹ́ni tó lè sọ tán láàrin wa ṣùgbọ́n eré ìje tèmi ni pé àwọn generation tí ń bọ̀ lẹ́yìn wa kí náà fẹ́ dé bá wọn ò láǹfààní àti kàwé mọ́ bọ́n tiẹ̀ fẹ́ káwọn ò lè rí ní àkàndọ̀rọ̀ Awikonko sọ bẹ́ẹ̀ pé bọ́n tiẹ̀ fẹ́ káwọn ìwé yẹn wọn ò lè rí wọn ò lè ní access sí because torí bí Awikonko ṣe jẹ́ lọ́jọ́ kémi náà ní access sí mi ò dẹ̀ ní access sí entirely wọn ò fi lé mi lọ́wọ́ màá lọ ṣe kọ́pì ẹ̀ màá dá padà nítorí àwọn ẹgbẹ́ òní méjì ẹ̀ so àmọ́ aláàánú lọ́lọ́run ó lè fún alẹ́ mi gígùn ó lè fún wa ní àlàáfíà ara tá a fi máa láǹfààní àti sọ kínní ọ̀hún síbi tí àwọn ọ̀dọ́ ìsìn èwe ìsìn àwọn generation tí ń bọ̀ lẹ́yìn tí wọ́n fi láǹfààní àti bá pàdé tí ó fi wúlò fún wọn ọ̀nà méjì náà ni bó bá jẹ́ bí ó bá jẹ́ ọ́díò kó jẹ́ fídíò kò sọ youth tí ò kí ń wá sórí social media bàbá la fẹ́ ta èèyàn mélòó ní ọ̀rá bí ó ṣe pé ká ṣe ilẹ̀ lọ́fẹ̀ẹ́ kí wọ́n ó débẹ̀ kó jẹ́ àmọ̀ fún wọn lẹ́yìn wọ́ọ̀la so ọlọ́run kọ̀ wá bá ti ṣe well pápápá kí n má gbàkókò yín torí pé bí ìfẹ́ ti ní púpọ̀ ṣe lẹ́nu wá bẹ́ẹ̀ lẹ́yìn náà ní many things láti ṣe òní lọ́jọ́ ìsinmi Sunday ọ̀la ni Monday gbogbo yín lẹ̀ ń padà sẹ́nu iṣẹ́ yín lọ́la so who am I láti gba táìmù yín lálẹ́ yìí no mi ní gba táìmù yín tó pọ̀ ṣùgbọ́n a ní láti ṣàlàyé àwọn kankan ọ̀rẹ́ mi lẹ́ni tí ọkọ̀ kínní yìí mo ti máa ń ka ọ̀rọ̀ wọn sẹ́rẹ̀ tẹ́lẹ̀ Ajétúnmọ̀ bí Awólọ́wọ̀ Ọba Kọ́láwọlé so èmi wá ní ẹ̀kúnú ẹ̀ níbí yìí complete tí mo fẹ́ ka díẹ̀ tí àwọn kọ síta complete ẹ̀ mi níbí yìí tí wọ́n fi lẹ̀ lálẹ́ yìí ní tó gbé mi wá nù so àwọn pé topic ẹ̀ ní Yorùbá Peace Treaty 1886 at Imesile that affirmed all our land as Yoruba. 12 articles of peace which confirmed that all our entire lands are Yoruba land, not just Ọ̀yọ́ below. Because tí Ọ̀yọ́ bá ń sọ̀rọ̀ nínú treaty yìí ńgbà tí wọ́n ń ṣàgbékalẹ̀ rẹ̀ táwọn òyìnbó ń ṣàgbékalẹ̀ rẹ̀ wọ́n recognize Ile Ife as the cradle of Yoruba land, of all Yoruba people. Do you know one amazing thing nípa ogun Kírìjí? Ó ní wípé gbogbo àwọn ọmọ ogun ilẹ̀ Yorùbá ni wọ́n donate ọmọ ogun fún Ilé Ifẹ̀ láti protect Ifẹ̀. Ilé Ifẹ̀ tí Ọ̀yọ́ ń bá jà, Ilé Ifẹ̀ tí Ọ̀yọ́ respect, Ilé Ifẹ̀ táwọn ọmọ Ọ̀yọ́ ń ṣẹnu yánṣayànṣá sí. Pàápàá jùlọ Èkìtì parapọ̀, wọ́n yan ọmọ ogun, wọ́n kó ọmọ ogun lọ sí àyíká Ifẹ̀ láti protect ibẹ̀ pé ogun ò gbọdọ̀ délé bàbá wọn. So pàápàá 12 articles of peace which confirmed that all our entire land are Yoruba land, not just Oyo below. Article 1. There shall be peace and friendship between the kings, baales, and their people. Article 2. The kings and people of the Ekiti Parapọ̀ Alliance or confederation as well as Ibadan shall respectfully maintain their independence. Kí kálukú ó jókòó sórí ọwọ́ ẹ̀. Ìdòwú Ìṣẹ̀rú Ìbejì kágbàlagbà kọ́ mọ́ tòkè Ògùn wá kọ́ mọ́ lọ sí Múgògùn lálẹ́dí Ọ̀yọ́. Kí Ìbàdàn má fìyà ń yà Ìbàdàn lẹ̀ mọ́ lọ kẹ́tà ja ará Ìmẹ̀sí ilé dára Èkìtì. Do you know one amazing thing? Ìbàdàn ti penetrate. Wọ́n ti gba Ìmínìkírun, Ìmínìrágbìjí, wọ́n ti gba gbogbo ẹ̀ dégbàjọ. Láyé ìgbà náà wọ́n ti gbà sábẹ́ wọn. Ẹ gbádùn mi, gbogbo bí tá ń pè ń pèlé Ọ̀ṣun lé ní Ìbàdàn ti gbà sábẹ́ àṣà den. Èkìtì parapọ̀ ńgbà tí wọ́n fẹ́ resist Ìbàdàn, wọ́n kọ́kọ́ appeal sí Ìgbàjọ. Ẹjọ́ ìwà ẹ darapọ̀ mọ́ wa, ìkan náà ni wá because Ìgbàjọ láti ìpìlẹ̀ ara alẹ̀ Ìjẹ̀ṣà ni. So àwọn Èkìtì parapọ̀ ni wọ́n kọ́kọ́ wá, wọ́n dismantle Ìgbàjọ, wọ́n fagídí gbà á. Ìgbà tán ti persuade wọn kán join wọn, táwọn Ìgbàjọ yarí sí wọn láwọn ò join wọn torí pé Ìbàdàn ló ń control wọn. Meanwhile Èkìtì parapọ̀ wọ́n ní ìdí àwọn òkè tí ń bẹ ní Ìgbàjọ. Wọ́n ti kọ́kọ́ rí àwọn òkè kan before Ìgbàjọ, ṣùgbọ́n máa wọ́n wò pé lẹ́yìn ó jẹ̀nà káwọn mọ́ yọ̀ǹda òkè yẹn fáwọn Ìbàdàn. Ibi tókè ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ ni ká ti lọ dó tì wọ́n. Okay. Article 3. The Alaafin Owa, all Obas shall stand in relationship of brothers as before when their kingdoms were independent. Ntáwọn òyìnbó ń gbìyànjú àti sọ́ńbí ni pé Aláàfin o, Ọwá Òbòkun o, àtàwọn ìlú tó kù, àtàwọn ọba tó kù kí wọ́n ríra wọn gẹ́gẹ́ bí brothers except Ilé Ifẹ̀ tó jẹ́ bàbá fún gbogbo wọn, which is the cradle of Yoruba race. Kódà nínú treaty ọ̀hún wọ́n pàṣẹ kí Mọ̀dákẹ́kẹ́ ó kúrò níbi tí wọ́n wà nílé Ifẹ̀, wọ́n ní kán relocate wọn sọ́nà tó jìn. Okay. Article 4. Ọ̀tàn, Ìrẹsì, Ada and Ìgbàjọ towns shall be ceded by confederate to Ibadan. Torí pé Ìbàdàn ló gbabẹ̀ tẹ́lẹ̀. Ọ̀dà náà ẹ dá wọn padà fún Ìbàdàn. Yóò ń gba tógun Kírìjí parí. Ìgbà tá a yọ ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀ṣun kúrò nípínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ ló tó kúrò lọ́ndà Ìbàdàn o. Làwọn ìlú yẹn tó kúrò lọ́ndà Ìbàdàn. So confederate to Ibadan. Article 5. Mọ̀dákẹ́kẹ́ people shall be moved away from the cradle city of Ile Ife and resettled northwards between Ọ̀ṣun and Ọba rivers. Ẹ̀sùn Mọ̀dákẹ́kẹ́ kò ní fẹ́. Ẹ jẹ́ kí wọ́n wà láàrin odò Ọ̀ṣun sí odò Ọba. That is, à ń sọ bíi àárín àwọn èjìgbò ìwó ilé ogbó kúta lọ sí ìwó ibi tí wọ́n ní kan relocate Mọdákẹ́kẹ́ sí nìyẹn. And do you know pé nínú ogun yẹn wọ́n relocate Mọdákẹ́kẹ́ wá sí Ìpètùmọdù, Mòro àtẹ̀dún àbọ̀n. ẹ̀kúnrẹ́rẹ́ rẹ̀ ń bọ̀ bẹ́lẹ̀ tó yẹ ká establish fáwọn ọ̀ràn tí ń bọ̀ lẹ́yìn wa. Article 6. The territorial integrity of every kingdom shall be maintained. Article 7. The Kiriji war camp at Imesile shall be broken up and native armies and militia shall retire therefrom. Gbogbo àwọn ọmọ ogun tí ń bẹ ńbẹ̀, gbogbo àwọn tó dó síbẹ̀ kí kálukú wọn kú ńbẹ̀ pátápátá. Article 8. All warriors, armies and native militia shall ensure the sanctity of Ife and shall withdraw their soldiers and allies from Ife territories. Gbogbo wọn náà lọ fọmọ ogun bẹ̀, Ìbàdàn fọmọ ogun bẹ̀. Tí Ilé Ifẹ̀ ọba special wọn ò ní máa dá ọmọ ogun jọ síbẹ̀ pé ẹjá dáàbò bò lé bàbá wa, bógun ọba kẹrù tí ọkọ̀ ọmọ ẹjẹ́ ó mọ̀ délé bàbá wa. So nínú treaty wọ́n fún wọn lófin pé kí kálukú ọlọ́kọ́ ọmọ ogun ẹ̀ kúrò ní agbègbè Ifẹ̀. Article 9. The kings and their peoples shall promote trade and commerce and abstain from dissension and acts likely to promote strife. Ẹ̀yin ọba o àtàwọn èèyàn wọn o, ìdókòwò papọ̀ tó lè mú àlàáfíà wá ní kẹ́ ẹ ṣalábàápín láàrin ara yín. Ẹ má bára yín ná, ẹ má bára yín rà, ẹ má wá ìlọsíwájú àti ìtẹ̀síwájú fún kálukú. Ẹ má gbé ẹpọ̀ tẹ̀tí, ẹ má gbé ìfẹ́ sókè kẹ́nìkan kan má kọrin kówókówó mọ́. Bí wọ́n yìí sọ fún gbà yẹn nìyẹn. Article 10. The kings agree henceforth to refer any strife and dissension to arbitration by the governor of colony of Lagos. Article 11. Armistice shall be observed and promoted henceforth, and all warlike operations shall cease until the proclamation of peace. Article 12. The terms of the treaty shall be enforced by all the kingdoms until the proclamation of peace. Dated the 28th day of September 1886. So Ile Ife was recognized the Yoruba cradle city in the peace treaty of 1886. Now gẹ́gẹ́ bí nǹkan tí brother mi yẹ kọ, as you can see clearly, the name of Alaafin Anowa appeared in the article. Ekiti and Ibadan were both required to remain independent. Ile Ife and Modakeke were mentioned specifically for peace to reign. Modakeke people were required to be moved out of the cradle land of Ile Ife. Ile Ife protection and sanctity was affirmed under Article 8 of the Yoruba Peace Treaty 1886. All warriors, armies, and native militia shall ensure the sanctity of Ife and shall withdraw their soldiers and allies from Ife territories. Article 8. Ile Ife remains the cradle of all Yoruba people worldwide as confirmed in the peace treaty before Alaafin Adeyemi I. Listed 7 towns in 1888. Ilé yìí ò ní treaty tá a mú wájú òní. Táwọn Ọ̀yọ́ ti ń sọ wípé àwọn òyìnbó address Aláàfin as the king of Yoruba land. Aláàfin Adéyẹmí the first ń lọ highlight ìlú mẹ́jọ àbí ìlú méje àbí ìlú mẹ́jọ jáde kúò, and that is Ọ̀yọ́, Awẹ́, Akínmọ́rin, Fìdítì, ṣé Fìdítì mẹ́mbẹ̀, Ìlọ́ra, Tèdè, àwọn ìlú bíi mẹ́jọ yẹn tó wà láyìíká Ọ̀yọ́. So Aláàfin àkọ́kọ́, Aláàfin Adéyẹmí the first, yes, ìyẹn Alówólódù gangan ló list out bẹ́ẹ̀. Okay, when he claim they are now the proper Yoruba, which has been causing problems since late Alaafin Adeyemi III, continue to make same false claims too, and many are believing the false narratives because they do not know much about the details of the 12 articles of the Yoruba Peace Treaty 1886, which was signed 2 years before Alaafin signed the Treaty of Oyo in 1888. We share this important historic information to educate everyone, so we do not continue to fight or argue over petty issues. Also, so that everyone would know their boundaries and all Yoruba rulers would relate as family. Anyone making false claims will be corrected where necessary to avoid misleading people, which could cause serious tension as it happened when the new Alaafin Owode was crowned. He did not act like an Oba who know that Ile Ife is the cradle city of the entire Yoruba race, and Ooni is the supreme authority over the entire Yoruba race. Alaafin and Owa were mentioned in the article because Ekiti Parapor rejected Alaafin's involvement and affirmed that Ooni Ife is the only Oba, according to history, who can mediate in the issue. Ekiti people understood the whole issue and they were the ones who protected Ile Ife. The new Ile Ife must be protected. Owa said Alaafin was his brother when they stated that the position of Alaafin as the youngest among the Oduduwa's descendants. Alaafin tried to act like elder, but Owa and Ekiti Parapor rejected his involvement because they know history. Peace was restored, and that was why Article 3 mentioned Alaafin and Owa and other Oba to relate as brothers. Ajetumobi, Awolowo, Ọba Kọ́láwọlé, àwọn náà sọ ilé yẹn. Okay, ẹ já lọ sórí treaty gan sánsan. All right, the Treaty of Peace. The governor of Lagos had several interviews with the different envoys and messengers from the interior kings and chiefs, from which he gathered much information. His Excellency thereupon drew up a treaty which was read and interpreted to them, and which obtained their assent on the whole. Because àwọn Ọ̀yọ́ máa ń sọ ní sọ wípé wọ́n pe Aláàfin kalẹ̀ bí ẹni pa Aláàfin mọ̀wé láyé ìgbà náà dọ́wọ́ sign treaty. Aláàfin sign treaty. They play my fans. Ọba kò ṣetán, the Aláàfin envoy, however, objected to clause 5 of the treaty, which referred to the removal of Modeke from its present site, but he was told that as he had already agreed to the governor's arbitration, he could not object to any article of the treaty. Kò wá tán. Ìránṣẹ́ tó wá sójú Aláàfin gbà náà. Ńgbà tán kàdé bíi pé kí wọ́n gbé Modeke kúrò ní ibi tí wọ́n wà nílé Ifẹ̀, kí wọ́n relocate wọn. Wọ́n lọ́wọ́ faramọ́, wọ́n ní kò lè sọ bẹ́ẹ̀. Ńgbà tó ti faramọ́ ilé ìdókù, ẹ̀tọ́ rí ọ lòdì sí kankan nu gbogbo tá a sọ yìí, ó gbà bẹ́ẹ̀ náà ni, yóò panu mọ́ ni. The treaty was accordingly signed by all envoys and messengers on behalf of their masters. The following is the text of the treaty, and I read: Treaty of Peace, friendship and commerce between Alaafin of Oyo, the Balogun, the Maye, the Abese, the Agbakin, and Agbakin, the Otunbale of Ibadan, the Owa of Ilesha, the Ori of Otun, the Ajero of Ijero, the Olojudo of Ido, the Seriki of Ilesha, the Ooni of Ife, the Ọbalúfẹ̀. Ẹ máa wo àwọn tí wọ́n ń dá lọ láàyè ọ̀tọ̀ gẹ́gẹ́ bí ọba nílé Ifẹ̀ o. Ọbalúfẹ̀ tí í ṣe Ọọ̀ni Òde ó dúró gẹ́gẹ́ bí ọba. Àwọn tó ń lọ láti Ifẹ̀ lélẹ́yìí, Ọọ̀ni of Ife, the Ọbalúfẹ̀, the Ọba Jíó, the Ọba Lọ́ràn, the Ajáùrà, the Arọ́dẹ, the Arísànrè, the Balógun of Ife. Gbogbo wọn náà lọ láàyè ọ̀tọ̀ọ̀tọ̀. The Ogosua of Modeke, the Balogun and Oto of Modeke, the Awujale of Ijebu and the Balogun of Ijebu. Whereas the kings, chiefs, Baloguns and chiefs above enumerated parties to this treaty and to the condition and articles of agreement hereinafter set forth, profess to be earnestly desirous to put a stop to the devastating war which has for years been waged in their own and adjoining countries, and to secure the blessing of lasting peace to themselves and their peoples, and have appealed by their envoys and messengers duly accredited to His Excellency the Governor of the Colony of Lagos, as representing Her Most Gracious Majesty the Queen, to meditate between them. Àwọn òyìnbó wa bá ń parí ìjà ni o. To meditate between them and to arbitrate and determine such terms and conditions as shall secure a just and honourable peace to the contending parties, and have each and all of them agreed to abide by such arbitration and determination, and to do his and their utmost endeavour to carry into effect the terms and conditions so arranged and determined. And whereas the envoys and messengers duly accredited by the aforesaid kings, baales, baloguns, and chiefs have been received in audience by His Excellency the Governor, and have themselves assented, both verbally and in written, to the terms and conditions of the peace hereafter specified, and have agreed to be bound thereby and faithfully to observe the same. Now this is to testify that the kings, baales, baloguns, and chiefs have said hereby ratify and confirm the said agreement made and entered into by their envoys and messengers for them and on their behalf, and solemnly pledge themselves faithfully, loyally, and strictly to observe and carry out the following terms and conditions, so far they are individually or collectively concerned. 1. There shall be peace and friendship between the kings, baales, baloguns, and chiefs, the signatories to this treaty, and their peoples respectfully, and the kings, baales, baloguns, and chiefs have said hereby engage for themselves and their peoples that they will cease from fighting and will remain within or retire to their own territories as herein provided, and we in all things submit themselves to such directions as may seem necessary or expedient to the Governor of Lagos for better and more effectually securing the subject of this treaty. 2. The kings, chiefs, and peoples comprising the Ekiti-Parapọ̀ Alliance or Confederation on the one hand, and the Baale, Balogun chiefs and people of Ibadan on the other, shall respectfully retain their independence. 3. The Alaafin and Owa shall stand to each other in the relationship of the elder brother to the younger, as before when Ekiti countries were independent. Treaty gangan mo gbé dání yìí o. So ó wà nínú point tí mo kà lẹ́ẹ̀kan yẹn ń gbé Aláàfin àti Ọwá Òbòkun tẹ̀gbọ́n tàbúrò ni wọ́n, meanwhile Ọwá lẹ̀gbọ́n, Aláàfin làbúrò, kí wọ́n máa ṣe bíi tẹ̀gbọ́n tàbúrò tí wọ́n ṣe tẹ́lẹ̀tẹ́lẹ̀, kẹ́nìkan kọ́ máa gbógun ti ẹnìkejì mọ́. 4. The towns of Ọ̀tàn, Ìrẹsì, Ada, and Ìgbàjọ shall form part of the territories of Ibadan and be subject to the Baale, Balogun, and chiefs of Ibadan. Such of the inhabitants of the towns have said a desire to live shall be permitted to do so at such time and in such manner as the governor, his envoy, or messenger shall direct after conference with the governments of the parties particularly concerned, and such people shall not be molested by the signatories, their people, or allies. Ọ̀dà o, èmi ní Ọ̀tàn, Ìrẹsì, Ada, Ìgbàjọ, ẹ jẹ́ kí wọ́n wà lábẹ́ àkóso Baálẹ̀ Balógun Ìbàdàn. Ṣùgbọ́n tá a bá wá rí nínú wọn o tó lòun ò fẹ́ bá Ìbàdàn lọ o, òun fẹ́ yà lọ́tọ̀ o, ẹ jẹ́ á yọ̀ǹda wọn kí wọ́n máa lọ, ká má fìyà kankan jẹ wọ́n, ká má fi nǹkan kan ṣe wọ́n, ká jẹ́ kí wọ́n lọ láyọ̀ àti àlàáfíà. 5. In order to preserve peace, the town of Modakeke láti gbà láfíà láàyè The town of Modakeke shall be reconstructed on the land lying between the Osun and the Oba rivers to the north, or its present situation, and such of the people of Modakeke as desire to live under the rule of the Bale and Balogun of Ibadan shall withdraw from the present town to the land mentioned, at such times and in such manner as the governor, his envoy, and messenger shall direct, after conference with the governments of the parties principally concerned, and such of the people who are desire to live with Ile Ife shall be permitted to do so, but shall not remain in the present town of Modakeke, which shall remain the territory and under the rule of the king and chiefs of Ife. Wọ́n yan nànẹ́ dáadáa ń gbà náà. So intention àwọn òyìnbó ni kán kó Modakeke kúrò níbẹ̀ pátápátá, kán kó wọn kúrò ń fẹ̀ pátápátá, kán relocate wọn sọ́nà Ìbàdàn sí tòsí Ìbàdàn. Ṣùgbọ́n tá a bá wá délé tó fẹ́ dúró pẹ̀lú àlàáfíà àti rẹ́pọ̀ nílùú Ilé Ifẹ̀ tí ò ní sí wàhálà, tí ò ní sí jà, òun tó ń lè ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀. Eight, the signatories engage themselves at or immediately after the signature of this treaty, or at such times as may be directed by the governor, his envoy or messenger, after conference with the parties principally concerned, to withdraw their peoples and warriors and allies employed or associated with the contending peoples or armies at Modakeke, Isoya, or elsewhere, and whenever such allies or people or warriors may be employed in war, or likely to foster or promote war, and further, when their peoples, warriors, and allies have been withdrawn, and the camp of Kiriji broken up and dispersed to their utmost by peaceful and friendly means, to bring about peace at or far. 9. The signatories bind themselves to endeavor in every legitimate way to promote trade and commerce, and to abstain from dissension and acts likely to promote strife. 10. The signatories agree, if any cause of strife or dissension should still exist after the ratification and carrying out of these conditions, which is not dealt with herein, to refer such cause or matter or reservedly to the arbitration of the governor of the Lagos colony, and peaceably and without resorting to strife or provocation, to await his determination thereof and abide by it, testifying their gratitude to Her Majesty's government for efforts already made and undertaken in their interest, and their sincerity and earnestness in the cause of general peace and goodwill. 11. The armistice now existing between the hostile forces in the camps of Kiriji and Isoya shall be promoted, and the signatories bind themselves to cease from all warlike operations or acts of provocation, and to do their utmost to promote friendly relations until the governor, his envoy, or messenger shall be able to and shall communicate with the signatories hereto. 12. As a guarantee of good faith, and for the further and better securing the subject of this treaty, and the faithful and strict observance of the terms and conditions thereof, the signatories agree to place in the hands of the governor, his envoy or messenger, as and when he may determine, such of their leading chiefs as he may inquire, as hostages who will continue and remain with him on the battlefield of Kiriji, while the armies and people of the respective signatories are dispersing thereof, therefrom, and for and during such time or period as the circumstances or necessities of the case may require, or to give such order or further signatories as may seem just or expedient to the governor, his envoy or messenger. In witness thereof, we have hereunto put our hands and seals the days and dates specified. Name Adeyemi, the Alaafin of Oyo, June 23, 1886. Ajayi Balogun Ibadan, July 1st, 1886. Osuntoki Maye Ibadan, July 1st, 1886. Fijabi Abese Ibadan, July 1st, 1886. Fajimi Agbake Ibadan, July 1st, 1886. Toajo Otunbale Ibadan, Otunbale Ibadan, June 14th, 1886. Agunloye Owa Ilesha, July 7th, 1886. Okinbaloye Ori Otun, July 3rd, 1886. Oyiyosoye Ajero Ijero, July 3rd, 1886. Odundun Olojudo Ido, July 3rd, 1886. Ogedengbe Seriki Ilesha, July 2nd, 1886. Derin Sokun Ooni elect Ife, July 18th, 1886. Awotionde Obalufe Ife, July 18th, 1886. July 14th, 1886. Oramuyiwa Obajio Ife, July 14th, 1886. Akintola Obaloran Ife, July 16th, 1886. Osundulu Ajarua Ife, July 14th, 1886. Jojo Arode Ife, July 14th, 1886. Aworilo Arisaure Ife, July 14th, 1886. Oga Balogun Ife, July 14th, 1886. Ogunwole Ogunsua Modayeke, July 14th, 1886. Sowo for Balogun Modayeke, July 14th, 1886. Ayanleye for Otun Modakeke, okay, July 14th, 1886. Aboki Awujale Ijebu, July 9th, 1886. No, June 9th, 1886. Onafowokan Balogun Ijebu, June 10th, 1886. Signed, sealed, and delivered in the presence of the undersigned after the terms and conditions therein contained had been interpreted and explained by us or one of us to respective signatories. Signed, Samuel Johnson, clerk in holy orders, messenger and interpreter for the governor. Signed, Charles Phillips, clerk in envoy orders, in holy orders, messenger and interpreter for the governor. So, treaty no. Now, Kennedy tí a fi ṣe gbogbo eléyìí ẹ rí wípé òótọ́ ọ̀rọ̀ kì í dùn ìmọ̀ ń korò bí ìwọ ni.